Oh no, we are pre-recorded, ladies and gentlemen, and I am currently sitting in Taipei on my way to Bali, and I just wanted to take a little look and drop in and talk about this triangle. Now, for all the private bear family members, I know we've been following this for quite some time, and nothing has changed. One of the things about sentiment analysis is depending on where you're looking on the long, short, or medium term, you're going to come up with different results. Now, as you can see here, one of our favorite indicators known as the Bear Claw, which you can download for free by following us on tradingview.com. Just search for Arcane Bear. It shows a stacked EMA, and we've actually just touched up at the bottom here, and we're getting near the very end of our triangle. This is important for a few reasons. I think we are headed lower. Around $7,700 is actually right here at the bottom of the simple moving average 200, and below that we have the simple moving average 314 at approximately $6,500. That means there is ample reason to say we will go lower. We've been following this since mid-June. That means since $13,000, this downtrend has been something that the private bear family has been watching for quite some time, and there's been nothing to stop that from happening. Now again, when you're looking at market sentiments and overall analysis, the difficult thing to understand is that there is nothing technical about it. What we're using as technical indicators actually represent a very, very real sentiment analysis around people's emotions in the industry. And this is important for a few reasons. Is because it's not just about the price, it's about what we believe the price should be. Now this is probably one of the hardest things to really meditate and grasp on, but what we can see is by following these indicators, and more importantly these sentiment types of analysis, it leads us to where we're going next. Now one of the really, really key important parts here is another indicator that you can get for free by following the bear is actually called the eagle's nest. It is a velocity, a driven multi-time frame, so depending on where you are, like for instance, I know we'll go over this as we get here, but see how there's a little middle line and a bottom line? Every time you cross one of the lines, the velocity of the downward or upward trajectory actually increases, very noticeably so. And we are just about to cross that line on the daily. It does not look good, at least in the short term. Again, in the short term to medium term, we've been saying we're going to go to around $8,000 since we hit around $13,000. Now, we actually speculated that we could go higher, but as soon as we saw that first drop, it changed the momentum. So the other thing a lot of people don't recognize is that technical analysis isn't perfect. It doesn't say, oh, if this thing happens, then this is exactly what's going to happen. Being able to read charts or patterns or other technical indicators actually just gives you the leading idea of where it might be going, right? So this technical drop that we could be seeing through the cross of the eagle's nest as well as the break of the bear claw really has nothing behind it other than the sentiments of the people that are buying and selling Bitcoin. Now again, at large, this might be drastically different. We've noted a few times in other previous videos that I think one of the things that's important to remember here is that even though big institutional money is getting into this space, it's very far and few between in those who understand the true value of the blockchain, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrency space. If it was the case that everyone understood, we would likely see a significantly higher price point today. So even though all these institutions and big money market movers are getting into this space, they're actually rather seldom. It's not everybody. Most countries and most people don't yet know what's wrong with the US dollar or currency in its fiat form by any means. That means we're likely going to have to see a fairly tumultuous time period where these countries go through the realization that their dollars are not worth anything. And we've seen this in places like Venezuela, Turkey, Argentina, Bolivia, not so much in Bolivia, but let's see, you've got the rand, which is the African rand, I believe. Anyways, there's a few more examples of this around the world where inflation has actually already hit the currencies through their printing. It's actually very noticeable if you look at the US dollar that there's already been 1,500% inflation since the 1960s. We just seem to ignore that for some weird reason. If you look very closely, the silver dollar is now worth approximately 15 American dollars. That means from the 1960s, $1 has decreased in value 15 times, or approximately 1,500%. That is massive amounts of hyperinflation, yet they were able to hide it simply by a sleight of hand and saying, look, it's still a dollar, but it's not. It's a very, very, very different form of the dollar, and even since then it has done nothing but degrade. So it's my current operating assumption that until people really start to feel the pain of what's wrong with fiat currencies, things like Bitcoin will never reach their true potential, which is probably upwards of tens of millions of dollars. again, this is based off the idea that the US dollar has no value whatsoever. It's backed by slave bonds. It means that you were sold to your government as a birth slave, essentially, for your corporate birth certificate, all in capital letters, and that you, over the course of your life, would pay back that debt that everyone took out for their Medicare and all the other bullshit that they say you have to pay for. It's a very difficult process to go through. So for all the United States residents, citizens, and the rest, I actually feel a little sorry for you as a Canadian. It is a hell of a lot easier for me to go through the process of not paying taxes simply by operating offshore and operating in different jurisdictions. Now, anytime I move money in or out of Canada, I have to pay taxes on that by Canadian law, but for Americans, it's actually much, much harder. You have something called FACTA, which is the Foreign Affairs Compliance Tax Act, or some bullshit like this, which basically means the United States Army and their fist of fury has bullied everyone into following their rules, laws, and legislation. So, lastly, let me leave with this. Even though we always chart the minutia because we're interested in short-term possibilities to bring in more value, in the long term, having an asset exposure in your portfolio of investments for Bitcoin is very, very important to do so. It's one of those reasons, and you don't want to wait until everyone starts to realize what's wrong, because by the time they realize what's wrong, it'll be too late. Just here with the Arcane Bear. Give us a thumbs up if you like this content. If you don't, give us a thumbs down. Leave us your thoughts, your comments, and your questions in the space down below. I'll be landing in Bali tomorrow, so I hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful evening. We'll be updating with a significant amount more content as we go. And if you're interested, go to Instagram and check out Rivers of the Sky. You'll be able to follow some more of our work over there. Hats off to Sunny, our founder, as well, for that particular area. I'm very grateful and excited to be able to meet such a strapping, intelligent, and hardworking individual. I'm really, really excited about the future that's here, Bear Family. So keep your eyes open, your heart open, and your mind open, because it looks a hell of a lot better on you. Yes, it does. See you guys in the next time.